Hi, thanks for joining us today. I love the Holy Spirit. And I've been thinking about the gifts of the Holy Spirit, those 9 beautiful, powerful spiritual gifts that He shares with us. This is how He lifts our life off the page and helps us to live miraculously. 1 Corinthians 12 lists those gifts. It begins like this. There are different kinds of gifts, but they are all from the same Spirit. There are different ways to serve, but the same Lord to serve. And then it begins this fabulous list of 9 great gifts. And the first one on the list is the gift of wisdom. It says the Spirit gives to one person the ability to speak with wisdom. I'm really glad today that we've been joined by Simon, because of all those that I've had the privilege of working with in my life and my ministry, I have seen this gift of the Holy Spirit, the gift of wisdom, working, operating excitingly in Simon's life. And Si, I just wonder if I could ask you, from your experience, how has this gift worked in your own life?
Sure. Well, probably about a month or so ago now, I was praying with one of our church members, and she was recounting a situation that she was in the middle of, in essence giving me some information. And as she was downloading information to me, God was actually giving me wisdom as to what to do with that information for her. So I was listening to her, but I was also listening to God, and He gave me a word of wisdom that there was an action that this lady was to take to help her with her situation that she was in. So that most recently is where that took place.
Excellent. And I've sat with you and with others, Si, in decision-making contexts where we've been facing an issue, tackling a problem, and we've been a little bit stuck. And it's been difficult to see a path through the mountains. And there are occasions when I have felt something supernatural kicking off in you, where something comes to you that seems to be from somewhere other than just your own experience or intelligence. And it looks to me like a word of wisdom. You find a path through the mountains. And I'm wondering if you could just explain for us what you feel this gift is, how it works.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the word of wisdom is obviously very different from just being bright or well-educated or knowing about stuff. In 2 Peter, Peter writes, Paul writes, with the wisdom given to him. And obviously Paul was a scholar, he'd been grown up in a Jewish kind of context. But that wasn't the wisdom Peter was talking about. There was another wisdom that Paul had that Peter was writing about. That was a wisdom that, he'd received on the road to Damascus when he'd met with Jesus. So it is a supernatural moment of time thing that has nothing to do with your education, nothing to do with your background, nothing to do with your age or life experience. It's just literally a gift in the moment from God to help in that situation. So in the meetings that you've talked about, sometimes there are probably 2 or 3 equally good options.
Sure. And
you think, well, it almost doesn't matter which one I'm taking, they're all equally good, or equally, I've got these circumstances and there seems to be no options. Either of those is true. And in that moment, again, I'm concentrating on the information or the options in front of us, but equally I'm kind of praying in my spirit and just open to God to be saying, well, out of these options, God, which is it? What's the direction? And sometimes God will left field say, actually, it's none of those options, it's something else. So I think it's the ability to be tuned in spiritually to what God has to say about that knowledge, about that information, that wisdom turns it into an action or a route forward.
Thank you so much, Simon. I really want to encourage all of us as children of God. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in you, lives in me, lives in Simon. And you'll face some circumstances where there doesn't seem to be an answer. You'll listen to information, you'll think, where do we go next here? I want to encourage you, dare to ask God for supernatural wisdom. Because one of the arrows in your quiver as a child of God is the gift of supernatural wisdom. And if you ask, the Holy Spirit will give you a pass through the mountains, a way through a word of wisdom that will make a difference eternally in the lives you are living. Thank you so much for joining us. Simon, thank you for sharing these moments with us as we begin a journey of exploration through the 9 gifts of the Holy Spirit.